So Harry, if someone was looking to stack some silver right now, what would you recommend if they wanted to spend, say, $1,000 today?
Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. What's up with this gold coin here? It says St. George and the Dragon, but is it from India? What is that?
Well, India was once under British rule, and at that time, there were British sovereigns minted in India for that population. And this is an example of that sovereign from 1918 from Bombay, or Mumbai as it's known now. It was just a one-year type. They only made it that 1 year. Sovereign coins tend to be regarded as bullion, but this is just a little better than that because it is a one-year type.
So it has a little bit of a premium?
Yeah, a little bit of a collector's premium on something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one of those before.
I mean, it's still close to melt, but it's just probably another $50 more than, say, a regular sovereign would be at this time.
Wow, and I see you got some pre-33 gold in here as well.
Yep, got a couple of nice Liberties, MS61s, which is the low end of uncirculated, but still uncirculated. And the premium is just about disappeared on those. I mean, you can buy these at or near melt. What's hurt the premiums, if you will, on these is that collectors today, really stackers, want even numbers. Like the gold eagles, they're 1 ounce or half ounce or quarter. These are 0.9675, so it's a little bit more arithmetic to work with. So even though these were historic coins that actually circulated as money, they're a little harder to work with than, say, an ounce of gold, because they're not an ounce. They're just a hair under.
And Adrian, those are 90% gold, right?
Yes.
And that was because they wanted them to be more hardy, you know, for transacting with.
Yeah. So it's not like 24 karat gold where it's really soft and it bangs up pretty easily. These were the workhorse. You know, people would use them to transact, and of course it was a bigger chunk of money, but they still wanted them to be durable.
And then the eagles are 22 karat, so we're kind of getting into some weird things where you have 90%. What carat would that be, do you know?
About 21.
Well, that's why when we talk about these with our clients, we talk about the actual gold value, or the actual gold weight, so that this is an actual ounce of pure gold plus copper, plus a little silver. This is an actual 0.9675 troy ounce plus copper. You can talk about carat, but ultimately people want to know how much gold am I getting.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of gold, I mean, we're above 2,900 once again.
Oh yeah, it's hanging in there above 2,900. I still think we have a flirtation here with 3,000 in the near term.
Yeah, I just saw Saxo Bank. They redid their forecast, and now they're predicting 3,000, maybe up to 3,300 this year.
I think 3,300 is possible because 3,000 has kind of been a psychological barrier. I think once we hit that, it'll be clear sailing a bit higher than that.
Yeah, if gold goes to 3,000, I mean, what do you think silver could do this year?
You know, silver hasn't kept up in the last few years with gold in terms of being at an all-time high. Silver's still only about 60% of its all-time high, but nonetheless, I think it will pull it upward, and I think $40 is not out of the question.
Wow, $40 silver.
Yeah. Well, it's been there a couple times before. It's not a fantasy number. It's been there twice.
What do you think, Adrian? Are we going to see $40 silver this year?
I sure hope so. I think so. I mean, the thing is, we're at that 32.79, and just like how gold moves sometimes, it just blows up, and silver is very volatile, so it's a metal that can explode too. I know it usually goes, you know, gold leads, silver follows, but I see that silver is doing something what's called coiling. So you kind of see it kind of just, you know, unraveling there, and then it's gonna, I think it'll eventually pop up.
So Harry, if someone was looking to stack some silver right now, let's say they're looking at the price of gold, they're looking at the price of silver, and they're saying, I think maybe silver has a little bit of an edge, a little bit more room to grow. What would you recommend if they wanted to spend, say, $1,000 today?
I always default to silver rounds, particularly the Buffalo rounds, which are the most popular, because they're a few dollars less than everything else, and they're the same amount of silver. Secondarily, I probably would recommend currently getting some maples, if you don't already have some, before a potential tariff hits the price up.
So could we look and see how many you could get for 1,000? Can we actually pull some out?
So you could get 27.7, say, call it 28, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 6, 7, and 8. So from here up is what you could get for $1,000.
So 1 whole tube plus 3 additional coins.
Correct.
Okay, and then what about for the rounds?
On the rounds, a little bit more because we're at $34 on those. So for $1,000, you could get 29.4, call it 30. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So from here back.
So basically, you could get an additional 2 ounces of silver if you go with the rounds over the maples.
Exactly.
Especially when you put them next to something like a Libertad, you know, at $42, definitely seem like a no-brainer for stacking in
Yeah.
high quantities.
People aren't stacking Libertads. They're really more about, I want one,
Yeah,
versus stacking these other designs.
exactly. I want one.
Yes.
So,
I beg to differ.
yeah, okay,
No, yeah.
Adrian's stacking them. We're getting one.
Well, here's the thing. The reason I like to have Libertads and Maples is because we border those 2 countries, right?
Right.
I don't know, in some future, if you ever feel that, you know, trading for silver, you got to go south, you got some Libertads. You have to go north, you have some Maples.
That's an excellent point.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why I like them.
Yeah, well, let me ask you about these 2 options right here. You can either get 28 maples for $1,000 or 30 rounds for $1,000. Which are you going to pick of these 2?
So personally, I like more silver for my money.
Yeah.
So I would get the rounds, but it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to, you know, prep and, you know, think that it might be in your cards to one day flee the country or something, I don't know. I would probably go with the maples. But if I'm, you know, I'm staying here, this is, you know, what I'm doing, I definitely want more silver for my money. So I go with the buffalo.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking too is, I don't know, maybe a combination of the 2.
Yeah, you don't want to have like all your eggs in one basket, right? So you can have some rounds, you can have some maples, have some eagles. That way, you know, whatever happens with the market with either of them, you're kind of spread out and you're not concentrated on only rounds or only maples.
Yeah, maybe you could get 14 of the maples and 15 of the buffalo rounds.
Yeah.
And then you kind of got best of both worlds.
Exactly.
What do you think about that, Harry?
Having a mix is a fun thing. I mean, let's don't forget the fun and enjoying and looking at these and having them. It's not all about the investment. Before I opened the shop, I was stacking and just having a ball. I had this stuff at home spread out on my desk, and my wife was always telling me to put it in the safe, but I couldn't enjoy it in the safe. I just liked looking at it and stacking it up literally, and, you know, just enjoying the process of having them. When we get a new person in here and they ask, you know, what should I buy? We recommend a variety, because until you settle on, you know, what you're going to stack with, it's kind of fun to see what's out there.
Yeah, get a little bit of everything, see what you like,
Yeah.
and then you can focus on
I
that.
think that's how you started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like we always try to show the rounds, because you can't really hurt yourself on the rounds as far as premiums, because we don't want to send somebody straight to, you know, Libertads if they're a
Get 10
first time
rolls
buyer.
of Libertads, and that doesn't
You know,
serve the customer
Right.
well at all.
Yeah, so you know, you can never hurt yourself with buffaloes if you're just getting started and you don't know what to put it in. Buffaloes is a great way to start.
So for you think probably the best between these options is just go with the buffalo rounds?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah? What do you think, Harry?
Not only would I recommend what Adrian said, but I'd also, for someone brand new, I would recommend that they be what we call retail friendly, so that when you go to sell them, someone is willing to buy them at the normal price. So what do I mean? I mean, don't buy ugly ones, even if they're at a discount. And I may be hurting myself here, because sometimes I have ugly ones at a discount. But honestly, it's not the best way to go if you have an eye towards selling them in the future, because what you find unattractive, so will the next guy. And
Yeah.
therefore, a dealer who buys them has to take that into account as to, what can I get for this? It's ugly.
So you're saying have an exit strategy before you even buy a single
Sure.
ounce?
Yeah, I mean, if you can save $1 or $2 because something's ugly, I would say don't, because at the other end, you're going to come out behind.
So would you consider these all to be retail friendly? I mean,
Absolutely. I absolutely would. But, you know, you can get into maples that were plagued by milk spots in the early days. Why would you buy something spotted or unattractive
And
like this
scratched.
when you could buy this?
yeah.
So it does matter. It's still an ounce of silver, yes, but it does matter if you have an eye towards sometime in the future with an exit strategy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and another thing too is, you know, storage of your items is very important. We've had people come in, they literally have a bag of just like their silver just clinking against each other. And, you know, they expect to get retail pricing, and it's like, they can't do that because the next person that I'm going to sell it to, they're going to look at it and it's all scratched. And
Or worse, Adrian, they bring in 24 karat gold pieces like gold maples that are just banged up and ugly. Not the way they bought them, but because of the way they took care of them or didn't take care of them. And now they're going to get quite a bit less money for them because we can't sell them to an astute customer who wants something pretty. Why
Yeah.
would you choose that one?
So when it comes to storing something like a silver round or a silver maple, you think the best thing is to put them in a tube, kind of how they come from the mint?
Well, not just in a tube, but like Adrian's talking about, where you put that tube. Somewhere dry, you know, somewhere out of the elements. Don't store it in, you know, paper envelopes that's going to cause it to tone. Toning can be beautiful, but it could also be very ugly. You just want to keep it dry and in a container that's inert, something that won't react with the silver, like the modern tubes.
All right, well, between these two, I think I agree with you guys. I would probably go with the rounds so I can just get more ounces for my money, because at the end of the day, hey, if you're measuring your wealth in ounces, then it doesn't really matter, you know, how many dollars each one costs. It matters how much weight you have.
I don't know one stacker who doesn't tell me, if they're willing to share it at all, how much they have in ounces. They always want to tell me how many ounces in their stack.
Yeah, the dollar amount's
Not what
kind of
the mix
irrelevant.
is, no. How many ounces, right? I hit 100 ounces. I hit 3,000 ounces.
because here's the thing, if you see the price go up and down, like, yeah, that's all digits, and it doesn't really affect you unless you go to sell it, right? But guess what? Your number of ounces never changes unless you sell them.
Hopefully you're adding to that number.
Oh yeah, always add.
And the yardstick is in ounces. The spot price is in ounces.
That's right.
So how many ounces do you have, right?
All right. Well, hey, always good to talk to you,
Thank
Harry.
you, Silver Dragons.
Good to see you, Adrian.
See you. Thank you.